This is KEXP Seattle. My name is Chili. So happy to be joined today by Helado Negro. Welcome back to KEXP.
Thank you. Hello.
It's great to see your face again. It's been a while. So this is actually the third time I've talked to you here in the KEXP studios, and each one very different. First time was at our old location, and we had some local tinsel dancers in the band. That's a fan favorite. Then last time, actually real intimate set right here in this new studio, just like you and me, like a personal show, which also blew my mind. And today we're getting the full band experience.
Yeah, it's super fun. I was thinking about that first time just recently, and what a wild experience it was, because it was like in the old studio, and then like having like the experience being in the new one was huge. And I think I had like, not like I didn't know, but I didn't know, because I guess I had experienced the old studio. So then the big studio show, it was just like me by myself, thinking it was going to be a small room again.
But, just you and me, like center stage, this big stage. That was really cool. And it's just been a while since I've seen you. I feel like I used to see you all the time. You know, of course, most of us haven't seen many people in a while, but I've run into you in New York or Costa Rica. So it's really great to have you here today.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah, and I feel like throughout the past like 10 plus years, I've been in Seattle so many times playing so many shows. I feel like I've played as many clubs as you could possibly play in Seattle, and venues. And it's pretty wild to know that I've been to that many places.
Well, we can't wait for you to come back.
Yeah.
I could really use an Helado Negro show.
Yeah.
So how you doing? You're joining us from Asheville today.
Yeah, I live in Asheville, North Carolina now. I moved here in June, and after living in New York for 15 years, it was just a good time for a change for us more than anything. Just was looking for just like a new chapter for sure.
And what brought you there? Was it someone you knew there, or just like the city?
Proximity to a lot of things like nature, more space, family for sure. There's family not too far from us, and yeah, those are like the primary. The primary big reasons why we moved.
Well, congratulations. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
So you got a new album coming out soon. It'll be out towards the end of October. And we've heard some songs off it, and it's sounding great. Did you record that while you were still living in New York?
It was a little bit of a split, yeah. Album comes out October 22nd, and the album was spread out, recorded through a lot of time. It was I kind of started it in 2018 as I was finishing my last record. I started recording a lot of songs, and then those became some seeds for Far In, my new album. And then not last year, but in 2019 I toured. I think we played like 100 shows or something crazy. And towards the end of the year, I started to do a lot of studio sessions. I really knew that I didn't want to make this album by myself like I did the last one, in terms of just like being on this kind of like heavy, really rigid, kind of restricted, like day-to-day plan of recording and making this record. And I just wanted it to be more free and open. So I started recording a lot of it in 2019 in Brooklyn with friends, inviting a lot of friends. Like you'll see there's a lot of features on this record. My friends Buscabulla are on it. My friend Ben Amin is on it. Casey Hill is on it. So like people would come to the studio, or we would share time together. And then 2020, coincidentally, my partner, my wife, and I had a project at Ballroom Marfa that we were working on called
in
Kite
Texas?
Symphony. Yeah, in Marfa, Texas. And we were making a completely different project. It was like a visual and audio multidisciplinary project dealing with a lot of different things, and something that we're going to show in January there. But while we were there, when we went there, there was the lockdown happened, and we were, if anyone's been to Marfa before, it's pretty far away from a lot of things. And as flights got canceled and everything was getting locked down. It just became more certain that we were going to stay there for longer. So we ended up staying there for 6 months, and throughout the process, and so throughout the process of us making this project, the one we were working on there for Ballroom Marfa, I had access to a studio, and so there was just like another like wellspring that erupted of ideas while I was in that studio to start to write new songs. And so I did that in Marfa as well. So I wrote a whole bunch of stuff, and then when we finally got back to Brooklyn, I just like hunkered down and went to the studio that I made This Is How You Smile out of, and just spent like all of, I think, like October or November until like March of this year or April of this year, and finished the album.
Nice. And it sounds like you gave yourself some more time, maybe separating music life with personal life too, taking your time to do both at the same time.
Yeah, I think I think I'm sensitive to what it felt. Not like I know, but I know that it was really difficult. Everybody had a completely different experience last year. Aside from everybody experiencing one thing together individually, that experience, the way we all kind of experienced it, was different. And for me, it was interesting because I was with somebody the whole time, somebody that I wanted to be with, and so it was a really like good. It was a good moment for me in that respect. It wasn't like all easy. It wasn't all like it wasn't the easiest thing in terms of just having that experience, but it was a really good thing. And
like a good forced opportunity to spend time together. Yeah,
for sure. And for the sake of like how that informed work, I think it was like really just it didn't it really informed it in a really positive way, and it gave me the ability to kind of like start protecting my time and energy on how I spend it.
I like it. And maybe this is a silly question, but far in is that kind of maybe the opposite of far out?
Yeah. So the story with that is the title. I got the title from a conversation I had with Laraji, and we had just happened to run into each other. I'd never met him before, not like we ran into each other, but I saw him sitting down at this airport in Berlin in 2018, and I just wanted to introduce myself and just say hi and just tell him how much I really enjoyed his work. And then we got to talking, and he was telling me what he was up to, and he was recording some pianos and doing some other work out in Europe. And then he asked me what I was up to, and I told him what we had been up to. And it was a unique situation. What we had been doing, it was like 120 artists all working at this place called the Funk House, like all collaborating and making music. And so it was a pretty exciting. And he must have sensed like how much excitement I had to energy wise from that experience. It was just like a really glowing atmosphere. And he used the expression, but in his own twist, he was like far in,
Yeah, exactly.
And I just loved that. There was just like such a like just like a really like sincere and kind humor to it. It was like it really jolted something in me, but also it was just like a resonant thought, where like just flipping things on its head.
I love it. We're talking with Helado Negro, new record called Far In. And before we check out a couple of the live tracks, tell us a little bit about this recording. You got a full band with you. Where are you guys recording, and who's with you?
Yeah, so we're a lot of the people, all the people who are playing with me play on the record, and everybody. This is like an all-star group. Everybody in the group has their own project. So there's my friend Angela and Nathaniel, and Angela Morris and Nathaniel Morgan. They're both playing saxophone, and Angela also plays violin. And they've toured with me tons. People have probably seen them with me on the road on one of those 100 dates that we did in 2019. We played Seattle quite a few times. We played the by the Space Needle, the free open. I forgot what it is, but that festival that they do where it's like outdoors.
Oh, like Bumbershoot?
I don't know if it's Bumbershoot, but it was just like I don't know. It was just like a free event, but and then my friend Jason Trammel was on drums. He played drums on most of the songs on Far In, and then on bass is my friend Taja Cheek, and she has a project called Lorraine. She just put out a record this year as well, and Taja played bass on a bunch of the songs on Far In, and then my friend Opal Hoyt, who releases music under Zenizen, she plays keys and synthesizer on this, and she also played a lot of the stuff on Far In, and we're at Sear Sound, which is this amazing studio in New York City that is just iconic, and you should look it up and learn about it, because I think it's a wonderful space, and it had been a dream of mine to go there and do something there.
Perfect. Let's check it out. This looks and sounds amazing. This is Helado Negro, live for KEXP.
Fresh start. Hold my hand all the way now. Wake up. Everyone singing outside. Ask you, we could stay all day, who cares? Lying down, it's our dream to stay all day when we know nobody cares, and nobody needs to know what we're doing here. Gemini and Leo dancing on the floor all night. Gemini and Leo dancing on the floor all night, and we can move in slow motion. Just watch me. We can take our time in cosmic balance. We're just light from stars that shine on planets, constellations of our love and magic. Oh, take me to your galaxy now. Oh, show me how you orbit around my mind. Takes a little bit of time to know just how to be with you. Gemini and Leo dancing on the floor all night. Gemini and Leo dancing on the floor all night. Gemini and Leo dancing on the floor. we are, up all night, terrified, kissing you twice. All your freaks, hold on tight, 'cause here's the way to lose your mind. Never mind, changed my life. I forgot to show you why. 'Cause my world only opens when your world comes in. Outside, be outside. Outside, be outside. Outside, the outside. Outside, be outside. There we are, up all night, terrified, kissing you twice. Lawyer freaks, hold on tight, 'cause here's the way to lose your mind. Never mind, changed my life. I forgot to show you why. 'Cause my world only opens when your world comes in. Outside, the outside. Outside, the outside. Outside, the outside. Outside, the outside.
It's Helado Negro live for KEXP. Beautiful session, sounding wonderful. New album called Far In. Thank you so much for joining us here again.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for listening and watching.
It's a real pleasure to have you back at KEXP. I believe this is your third time for us. And really excited about this new record. We heard a couple of singles released so far. Gemini and Leo and Outside the Outside. Maybe we could talk a little bit about those. Gemini and Leo is a bit of a love song, no? Which one are you, the Gemini or the Leo?
Yeah. It's so it was kind of conceptualized through my my partner and my astrological sign. I'm a Leo and she's a Gemini, and I call it more of a loving song because I think it's not necessarily just about a personal story between us, but it's also like there's an ability to kind of think about it in multiple ways and not necessarily just have it be reflecting on like my own personal relationship. The opportunity here was like an opportunity in just songwriting more than anything. It was like when the concept appeared for Gemini and Leo, uh, well, maybe I'll just dig in and just see what else I can like come up with in terms of like thinking of constellations and outer space and it all clicked a lot more when I was in Marfa. Marfa uniquely is it it's what they have like a dark, like they preserve, they have a dark sky preservation essentially, so meaning like they limit the amount of lights that are around, and they're closely related to, I think they share some kind of like, well, there's like a deep space telescope there that's like a sister to another telescope in the Atacama Desert in Chile, and it's a few places where you can see super deep into space because it's so low moisture there in this area of the world that there's no distortion for the telescope, and so it felt like appropriate to kind of like harness that sentiment of being deep in the outer space, and then kind of like drawing some metaphors into these astrological ideas, but then also some more like spiritual, deep brain, deep thought, nebular places.
It's gorgeous. And
Yeah.
Outside the Outside came with a cool video, features some, it's put together with like old VHS recordings of family time, right? Back in Florida, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So these are these are just like this is like what would happen every weekend at my house. You know, there was a party, and then people would record it. You know, people would get there, and usually the run of the night would be like folks arrive, folks eat some food, have some drinks, get drunk, dance, maybe have some more drinks.
And like, how old were you at this time? Were like into the party, or was it corny adults, or like?
I mean, yeah, I think all the kids were into it as much as they could be. The more, I think it was like everybody would bring their kids everywhere. So it's like I would always go to every party, and then my parents' friends would bring their kids to the parties, and so we were always surrounded by kids our own age. But we would also like dance and have a good time, and kind of just get into it as well. So it was throughout my life for sure, and that it's a pretty good document. I really like that video. I can't remember whose birthday. It's probably like somebody's birthday party. I can't remember whose birthday party it is.
It's cool to have that stuff. I mean, these days, when I go to the store, I take 50 photos on my iPhone and I have it forever. But like when you're a child, it was rare to have all these photos and videos. It's really cool to glimpse back.
It's true. Yeah, you're right.
You know, like my great grandfather has like a picture of him, you know.
Right. That's so true. Yeah. No, we definitely take it for granted how much the technology has made it so easy to kind of like feel like we've taken it for granted for how accessible it all is more than anything. Yeah.
And was that family time part of the catalyst for the song itself? Like, I think I read somewhere you said they felt like outsiders, but you kind of felt outside of their outside.
Yeah. It wasn't like the video was the reason why I wrote the song. I mean, I think when I came across the footage, when I came back to New York, I transferred a bunch of VHS, and so I had seen it. Maybe it was in the back of my mind, and it was through a conversation I was having with my wife, Christy, about like being an outsider amongst outsiders. It was kind of in this other world that we were discussing stuff, but
maybe you can explain that a bit. What is outside of the outside, or outside of the outsiders?
I thought the best way to explain it was the way I was describing it in the video and the song, where it tapped into something where I started to think about, my family came here. They came to New York in the 60s, and like a lot of immigrant families, I think, trying to have a different life, a change of pace, a change of direction in their own life. I think, for better or for worse, I think it's mostly having to do with like trying to make money. I think a lot of people leave the countries they're from because of that. Not all people. I think there's like harsher situations in terms of like even like the refugee situation that's happening here in the United States, with folks just wanting to cross the border because of life-threatening situations. So that wasn't necessarily the case for my family, but still through that, there's like a connection with other people who are immigrants who I think they would find themselves amongst other people who had things in common. I feel like a lot of people in Latin America have a lot of things in common, beyond language. I think language is maybe the least interesting part about it. I think in a lot of senses, I think there's food and there's music and there's like all these cultural there's like a cultural depth that really connects a lot of people, and people like find kinship in finding some of those things in common. So some of the people that you would see in that video that we made for Outside the Outside, there's a lot of friends, family of mine that I still know, that I still see, that I grew up with, that are from like Colombia, Peru, Puerto Rico, Mexico, like just it's just, these are people from all over, and so it was interesting for my family to see them like find like this group, right? These other people who've left and then found themselves amongst other people who've left, and you form this like bond. My family could have hung out with a whole bunch of white people, but that didn't happen. You know what I mean? So I think it's testament to a lot of what people are finding and what they're finding in terms of like their comfort in finding other people who have these common bonds, like in Latin American common bonds. At least that's what my family was looking for. And so I grew up with that, and it was fun because it's like you got to share all these different cultures that I got to see, and the way people did stuff and mannerisms, and then ultimately language and music that came through that and from that. And but then also growing up, being ultimately American, being born here, I grew up with that half of me. And so then, as you get older, you kind of like separate from that bond that they had, and you want to make your own bond to the world. And so then you start to become an outsider amongst the group of outsiders that brought you in, that birthed you into this like whole other community. And so you start to alienate yourself, and it's a really interesting, for me at least, I alienated myself on purpose. I was like wanting to find something different and something new, something that was uniquely my own. And I think that happens with everyone, right? I think people go through their teenage years trying to like, begin to have like their own identity crises, so I think that's what the song definitely touches on. But also like going a little bit like a layer deeper, I think I like really, I don't want to ever let go of that too. Like I like the idea of trying to always find a way to keep growing, and not necessarily feeling too like anything is so pure that I'm a part of one thing. I want it to be that there's an openness to be a part of more of the world, and to be able to grow as I get older.
And you do so beautifully. I'm such a big fan of your music. And you must know, it goes past that too. Everyone, of course, I'm asking you a bit about the songs, but once you put it out into the world, all of us who listen take on our own meaning and identify with it in our own personal way, which is another cool layer to the whole thing.
Definitely, yeah.
We're talking to Helado Negro, new music, new record called Far In, and it's coming out October 22nd. And the few songs I've heard so far, you just have a real way of warming people from the inside, and there's this groove. But also, these are pretty funky, and you got some dope drums going on. How did you approach the musicality of it this time around?
Yeah, I think I knew. It's not new to my music. I think there was a lot of people who just came to my music through the last record, through This Is How You Smile. If they ever take the, if you give yourself the opportunity to look back, you'll know that it's not like a new territory for me to to exist in this world. But I think this, in terms of aesthetics, but I think this album specifically is like, I think it's uniquely different than everything else. I think it's a cohesion of everything that I've ever wanted to do, and was able to focus and not have it be so just spread out. For me, it feels like maybe the most focused I've ever been, and I wanted to make. I didn't want to make a record like This Is How You Smile again. And I wanted the drums to be in the forefront. I wanted the bass to be in the forefront. I wanted everything to have its moment. I wanted everything to be able to share a space in the song, and not. I think the last record, everything had less borders. Everything was just like more of like these watercolors that were just like all over a piece of paper, and there were different moods, and my voice was like on the forefront, kind of guiding the ship. I think with this record, what I really love is that each song is very strong. It's very much has its own identity, and it has its own world. And I think that was like a big intention of mine, and that's why I pursued having like a really like heavy like rhythm section, something that was like just a lot more just stronger, and just more succinct in terms of like, this is the beat, these are the drums. In the past, I think it's just like I've softened those edges on drums, and softened like the idea of like, you're not really sure if it's drums, or you're like, I don't know, I think there's like a kick drum in there somewhere. So it's definitely something I really wanted to do.
Well, it sounds amazing, and I cannot wait to hear the whole thing. Once again, new record is called Far In, and I think we're going to end today with the third single, La Naranja. But first, this is a new one to my ears. There Must Be a Song Like You. Helado Negro, live for KEXP.
Horse, come on your side, take me in stride. Let's fall inside. Man keeps on pushing, loving, overlooking. Language, reflect and fly. 'Cause there must be a song like you. 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 Warm, dreaming yellow sky, endless hope inside. People move their lives, night eats the sky. must be a song like you. Shy smile looks away, dancing in time. Let's hope it lasts all night. Lost without meaning, hoping I'm not sinking. True words stand still today. 'Cause there must be a song like you. 'Cause there must be a song like you. There must be a song like you. 'Cause there must be a song like you. Oceans bloom out the skies, reeling to decide. Can we open eyes, leaving out the side? Hands falling over mine, dropping open minds. Bunny, you would say, actors in this play. 'Cause there must be a song like you. 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 Oigo cositas que me dijiste en el mar. El universo, tu ojo queda pegado con el mío. Y
is KEXP Seattle live session from Helado Negro, songs from the new record called Far In, looking and sounding amazing. It was a really fun session. I wish you were here in Seattle, but the studio looks great and sounds great. It's really cool to have the whole band. It's great to get that take, and a different take than the ones you've had in our studios. So that was really exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I love this band. This is a band of people I respect deeply, musically, and they're all just amazing individually.
So new record coming out shortly, or maybe out by the time of this release. Comes out October 22nd, 2021. And once again, it's called Far In, and it's beautiful. You got to check it out. We love your music here at KEXP, and this is by far no exception. And perhaps you've been to Seattle so many times, that's got to happen maybe even next year, perhaps?
Yeah. We'll maybe do another session.
Sure, you're always welcome.
We'll roll on through. Yeah, no, I really do love playing live, and I think this is like another part of it is like being able to share the space with friends, like the musicians that I'm playing with.
Have you been able to play some of these songs out, like in smaller shows, or have you done any of this live?
We've only done this in the first shows we're going to do one in New York, a really small show, for like 100 people, 2 days before the release. And then the album release show proper is going to be in Miami, outdoors. And so if anyone's in Miami, come out November 20th. I should pull it up on my calendar, so everybody knows. This will be out before that. I'm plugging my show. November 20th in Miami. You got to come out at the North Miami Beach Band Show. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Check your listings. Go see Helado Negro live. And Roberto, come to Seattle. We'd love to see you live here as well.
I can't wait. I can't wait to come back and miss you guys. And KEXP is always, y'all are like the best, always treating me the best, and since day one. And I'm so appreciative of all the love, especially you, Chili. Thanks.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. You always got a home here. And thank you so much. It was really fun to see you today.
You too. Likewise.
Once again, new record called Far In, Helado Negro. Thank you.
On 4AD.
On 4AD. This is KEXP.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.